right, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Thursday evening. We're doing a live stream a little bit later than what we typically do, but we're just messing around with the times. And there is some news. Like there's some things that's floating around that I want to talk about. I want to share my thoughts. I want to get y'all's thoughts on it too. So where should we start? I mean, all the rumors about Coach Heupel. I'm gonna tell y'all where some of that's coming from. We'll definitely spend some time on that. Jermod McCoy. Sounds like he is practicing, doing more. Is he going to play this week? Is he going to play for the rest of the year? I'll share my thoughts there. Got some thoughts on the football team. Obviously more thoughts on the football team. And also have thoughts on the basketball team. We talked some about them so far. Obviously, they're still pretty early on in the season, but I want to get y'all's thoughts on it. I want to talk about maybe if we have enough time, I want to talk about some games coming up this weekend as well. But as always, y'all, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That helps us out in a major way. And where should we start, y'all? Let me tap into the chat first and just see what people are talking about. We'll see what's going on, bro. Appreciate you for joining us. This one right here from Insane Twills. What's going on with you, bro? All right, appreciate y'all for joining. So I think that we should start maybe first and foremost with Mod, right? So outstanding cornerback. We saw it whenever he was coming from Oregon State, breaking down his film. Like, we could just tell that he had everything that we wanted. He's been back practicing. Obviously, he tore his ACL. All of us know that as Tennessee fans. But he has been practicing more for like the past few weeks. Now, earlier in the year, the Arkansas week, that was the date that he was trying to come back for, and still not quite sure why he didn't come back in that week. Sounds like maybe he had some swelling in his knee after he was practicing, but it doesn't feel like he's had too many setbacks since then. So has he done any physical stuff with the team? I'm not sure. Coach Heupel, he was asked about this on the SEC SEC teleconference or whatever the hell it's called, but he was just like, Mod has been practicing more. He's been doing more, kind of like the same thing that he said last week. And just basically that he's unsure if he's going to be able to come back this Saturday in a game where I feel like if he is going to come back, if he is going to play, he would probably need to try to play some this weekend. This is a great opportunity for him to get out there and get that done. And then he could come back for the rest of the year, right? Like versus Florida, versus Vandy, and then maybe in Tennessee's bowl game. I don't know how much he wants to play because he's still got a first-round grade. I don't look at all the mock drafts as much. I focus more on, like, the big people like Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper has him as the #1 rated cornerback, and I think that came out last month. So he hadn't played at all, but he was still rated as the #1 cornerback. That tells me that's probably pretty accurate. You know what I'm saying? Like those types of people, they're going to be more accurate. I don't look at the other stuff, because those people are pretty much just piggybacking off of what Mel Kiper and everybody else had to say. But I would say that in all honesty, I'm not sure, like unless Mod had some NFL scouts telling him, hey man, like we want to see some film, like we want to see you running around out there. I don't know if it's in his best interest to play. Of course, as Tennessee fans, we want him to play because we feel like the defense will take a lot of steps forward. And just for me personally, if he does come back, outside corner, you love that. But really, we need some help at star. And he can play inside or outside at a very high level. I don't know if he would want to do it coming off of the injury and all of that because it is a lot more difficult playing at slot or star than it is playing outside corner. So I'm not sure if he would want to do that, but that's kind of like what I'm looking forward to, man. And as we said, at the end, if we have enough time, we'll take a look at some of the games coming up. We already know that Tennessee's got like a very small chance to make it to the college football playoffs if everything goes in our favor, which I don't think that's very probable, but it could happen. In that sort of a situation, I could really see him, if he doesn't come back this week, then I could see him maybe later on in the season coming back. But like I said, if he doesn't come back this week, and if things look like we're not going to make it, even more like we're not going to make it to the college football playoffs, I honestly do not see him coming back. Now, that's just me speculating. It's not me having talked to him or any of that. But let me tap back into the chat. What's going on with you, bro? Appreciate y'all for joining us. Go Vols. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Dylan is saying that if he's Heupel, that he's not pressuring Jermod to play this late in the season with nothing to gain. And that's a good point because you also have to think about it this way, y'all. Like, we want him to play. What is he really playing for outside of our pride? Look at the long-term impact of stuff. Having a cornerback who I think that really, if he comes back, it's not a very high chance that he's going to increase his draft stock. If you're already rated the #1 cornerback, you haven't played at all. It doesn't mean that what Mel Kiper thinks is exactly what all the coaches and all that think. But all you need is one. All you need for is one team to look at you as a first round player, and you're perfectly fine. If the other 31 say, nah, we want to see more, okay, that's on y'all because y'all gonna miss out on a great player. But with the long-term impact of it, having a guy who could go from being a first-round player to coming back playing and maybe his draft stock drops, kids look at that stuff. Like they're not necessarily looking at the whole situation. They're looking at, hey, how many players did you have drafted first round, second round, boom, 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 so on and so forth. And that helps you to have the kids take a discount. Everyone's always talking about NIL, revenue sharing, all the money that the kids get paid. I don't really care about it, but I just care about winning. I just care about whatever it takes for us to win. If we need to have some more players taking some discounts for us to be able to spread that money out more so we can have the best team, I'm for that. If we got to spend a whole bunch or, like whatever we have to do, let's just find a way to win. But I'm just saying that moving forward, knowing that this team probably isn't going to make it to the college football playoffs, you have to start to look towards our future. And I know that the staff is already doing that. I promise y'all. There's a lot of things going on. So I'm going to get to this next one right here, and then we're going to jump into Coach Heupel and where some of those rumors are coming from with him maybe entertaining some other jobs. So this one's saying that he might want to play some to show he's still a top-round talent. He might be worried about slipping due to now playing. Yeah, I think that that's the case, too. I think that realistically speaking, he probably wants to play. Football players want to play. I'm not saying that he doesn't want to play. He's probably like, man, I really wish that I could play. Like, the time off sucks because you're used to doing something. You've been doing it for such a long time, right? It feels like time starts to drag. I can tell that he loves the game. I'm not questioning none of that. But he also has to understand that, man, you've worked so hard to get to this point. If you're already with the highest cornerback in the entire draft grade, then you know that, most of the time, I would say that the NFL scouts and stuff, they just want to see him look like he can still move around because they watch enough film. Like, they know that he's physical. They know that he can move around. And if they want to see him play, hey, you could go to the Senior Bowl. Well, can he go to the Senior Bowl? I think that they were letting juniors and stuff go last season, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But he can go do some after the season stuff, and showcase. Even if he doesn't want to fully play, hey, go through the practices and stuff or like whatever he wants to do. There's a lot of opportunities. There's personal workouts. The teams have their own doctors that they'll put him through all these tests. If he can just clear that stuff, you know that he can play, right? It's not like some of this other stuff where you could really play in cornerback after what he's put on film. When you know that he's physical, he can just go out there in shorts and run around. You can tell, okay, he still has the burst. He still looks good. Let's go ahead and roll, So I don't think that it's necessary that I don't think he has to play, really. And I know that people want for that to be true, but it's probably not. I'm not going to say that it's 100% either way because some teams, like I said, they might want to see him play. Other teams probably won't. Most teams probably won't care. As long as he looks healthy, as long as he passes all the tests, all the personal workouts, he's probably going to be a first-round pick. And that's what Tennessee needs more so right now than him playing because we needed him to play in the Arkansas week. If he could have come back for that week, that helps us make it to the playoffs. But at this point, what is he really helping with? Us getting to a better bowl game? That's great. Like, we want to do that. We want to beat our rivals. But it's not. Would you rather beat Florida and beat Florida and Vandy and get the best bowl possible? Or would you rather be able to say, hey, next season we can build a team, and for the foreseeable future, we can build a team that can make it to the college football playoffs almost all the time? And I'm not one of these folks to say, hey, you can't make it every year because next year it's going to be a 16-team playoff. If you can't make it into a 16-team playoff, something's wrong. Something is wrong. Tennessee should be in that mix. So, it should be like 5 or 6 SEC teams that make it into the playoffs every year. If we're not top 5 in our own league, a whole lot of stuff needs to get fixed. So that's where I'm at with it. All right. So Jaden, he's saying that this is my favorite sports channel there is to go big on. Thank you for that, Jaden. That's really, really kind of you. Appreciate it, bro. All right. So this one is saying that with as many teams that will be switching coaches this year, there should be a ton of players looking to switch teams. We might see some big changes to this roster next year. That's a stone cold fact. All right. And I'm going to get to this last one from Kevin, and then we're going to jump into it. All right. So Kevin is saying is asking is Faison and Keys. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they are going to be coming up in January. I think it's January or something like that. Yeah, 26 class looks nice. Word Keys might entertain new LSU coach for a bag. You have to worry about that with everybody. It's not just Keys, but I guess with the bigger profile players, you probably think about it more. But let me go ahead and jump into this one with kind of like where I've heard some of the Coach Heupel wanting to leave and maybe entertaining some other jobs coming from. So I'm not from Tennessee, y'all. I don't live in Tennessee. I'm from Georgia. I live in Georgia still. So it was from 104.5. It's a radio station in Nashville, and it's Blaine, and I forget the other guy's name, so sorry about that, but that's the host of the show that we're going to listen to this little like snippet from. And it's coming from, what is the let me check and see what this gentleman's name is that's on it, because I forgot that too. I'm not good with names and all that type of stuff. Bear with me and I'll tell you what his name is. So his name is Chris Phillips, all right? So Chris Phillips joins them and he shares his thoughts. But we're going to listen to like a little piece of that, and then I want to get everyone's thoughts, and then I'm going to share mine as well.
We're going around the SEC with Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered.
Well, Chris, speaking of LSU, man, how much trouble do you think they're going to have? I know they're going to be able to hire a coach, but, man, with all this going on, they may have to overpay for their coach. And who do you think is at the top of the list there at LSU with the way they're handling the Kelly firing, or maybe for cause? Kind of take us through what you think of what's going on there.
Yeah, it's interesting, guys. Nothing that's happening is helping the cause for LSU to get the best head coach, right? It's with some of the madness with the Kelly buyout, Jeff Landry, like you mentioned, it's funny. I was telling some guys, like, we laugh about it. We think it's funny. Right. None of my LSU buddies think it's very funny. So that being said, it's still one of the best jobs in college football. The top names I've heard, and again, this is talking to my buddies that cover that beat. Obviously, Lane Kiffin's the number one. I mean, if they could choose anybody, they want Lane Kiffin along with probably 10 or 15 other schools. I don't know how Lane's going to coach them all next year, including Ole Miss, but they prefer Lane. Interestingly enough, the other big names I've heard, Dan Lanning was the one that was thrown around. I think that's cooled off a bit. Jeff Brom from Louisville. I know they're working on a contract extension for him. Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou. And then really interesting name, guys, Josh Heupel over at Tennessee. That was a name that I've heard is seriously they think they can get him. And, again, don't shoot the messenger here, but I've heard that potentially Josh Heupel would at least entertain the conversation. He's thought about leaving Knoxville. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But what I've been told, there's an understanding in the industry that for the right job, Josh Heupel would be willing to leave. So, again, take it for what it's worth.
All right. So there y'all have it. Chris Phillips said basically that he heard from the people that cover LSU that he knows, I guess he's buddies with them, that Coach Heupel said that he is going to entertain some other programs. And LSU sounds like it's one of them. The LSU fan base or whoever, like his buddies, they were saying that they feel like they can get Coach Heupel. Well, listen, I don't know, because I don't know Coach Heupel personally. Like, I've never had a conversation with him. I would just say that from a common sense standpoint, what you have to understand is that where there's smoke, there is some fire. I've seen it. I think most of it has come from like LSU pages and channels and fans and boosters and all of that. It's coming from LSU people. And I've heard it for, I don't know, maybe for like a week or so now. I guess since Brian Kelly got fired, like it started to come out. But it just, whenever you get things, like whenever you're playing, what do they call that game? Telephone, or, whatever that we used to play like when we was kids. The teacher gives you a message and you pass it on all the way down to the end of the line of 20 kids in your class or whatever. By the time it gets to the end of the line, the message is totally different. I think that it's the same thing here. I think that Coach Heupel and anybody really that's, especially in this industry, if you're not at least going to listen to somebody that wants to offer you a job, that's stupid. I mean, like, I'm not going to blame anybody for listening. You should always listen. It doesn't mean that he's going to fully entertain it. You can listen really without even entertaining what people are saying. Now, as far as LSU as a job versus Tennessee, is it a better job? I mean, I don't know. I think that there's like some positives to going to LSU. Most of it is just with the in-state talent. You don't really have to even leave the state. I mean, you can just stay in-state and have all the talent that you want. So that's a major positive. Most of the kids in that state, they want to go to LSU. You know what I'm saying? And they got everything. They got quarterbacks. They got just literally everything. They got a bunch of big dudes that always starts up front. I think that they have good resources. I don't even know if their resources are as good as Tennessee's, in all honesty. It sounds like their front office stuff right now with the governor stepping in and I think it was the governor or it was the mayor. It was somebody stepping in and saying, well, this is how we're going to do stuff. And with what's going on with Brian Kelly, I guess they're not trying to pay his buyout and just a lot of things. It seems like it'd be kind of a S show. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't seem like it'd be probably like the cleanest transition. I mean, Coach Heupel came here with the big mess. He'd be going there. It's not going to be as big of a mess as he came here with Tennessee, obviously, with everything that was going on here. But it is still going to be some like messiness to it, right? And a lot of times these coaches, they just entertain and let schools make the offers and all of that just so that they can get some more money. You know, that's just the nature of the business. That's just how things go. So I think that it's mostly that. I don't really feel like, and look, this is not to say that down the line that Coach Heupel might not want to leave because, like I said, I don't know. I think that he's doing a good job here. I've told y'all, and I'm not trying to just like start things up. But what we really have to be careful about is the Oklahoma job, because I think that he might kind of be somewhat entertaining maybe the thought of going somewhere else. It doesn't mean that it's LSU, and it doesn't mean that I'm right either. It doesn't mean that he's about to leave right at this moment. But if Oklahoma fires their coach, like if they lose out, like we want them to, if they lose out and if they want to fire their coach right now, they'll come calling for Heupel, like for sure. There's no question about that. They will come calling for Heupel. I think that would be a tough one for him to pass up. Something that I've known from having played ball, knowing coaches and all of that, because you see coaches come and go. Everyone has their like dream job. I'm not saying that Tennessee is or isn't Coach Heupel's dream job because, like I said, I don't know. But I know that he played at Oklahoma. There might still be some bad blood there, whatever. I mean, if he's coming in as a coach, if he wants to go there, he could say, well, whoever it is that I don't like, they got to go, and then I'll come. People will work that type of stuff out, you know? So the whole point is this. We got to be thankful for Coach Heupel. You know, it was, I know that it was kind of started up out there. Some of it was more of the national media taking off with stuff. And I think that the media that covers Tennessee did a good job of trying to tamp it down. But in all honesty, I saw it on this channel. I've seen it on message boards. I've seen it on social media. It doesn't mean that it's the whole fan base. But there was a pretty vocal group that was saying that they wanted Coach Heupel fired, right? That's why, sometimes that just stuff, there's no point. That there is, you might feel some type of way, but you got to find, there has to be a much healthier process in how you get that off your chest. Call somebody. You know what I mean? Like, call your friends or whatever. But you probably don't want to put too much of that out there publicly. And I think that as fans, the same way that some of the Tennessee media has done here recently, whenever we see it, man, we got to kind of call that out. That's just me personally, because I do think that could be kind of a turnoff. Now, it doesn't mean going to LSU, he's going to see the same thing. If it's Heupel, if it's anybody else. Going to Oklahoma, probably going to be this same thing. That's just like the nature of the business. But can we be a little bit different from that standpoint where, hey, every coach wants to come here because we understand what's going on more. And that's just me. That's just me. But I do think that at the end of the day, Coach Heupel's probably I think that he's going to be sticking around. So let me tap into the chat real quick. Okay, so this one's from Brandon Scott, saying that even if Faison and Keys enroll early, there's no chance that they play a considerable time next year. I disagree with that 1 gazillion %, dog. I personally disagree with that. Tristan Keys is going to play early next year. I can promise you that. He's going to play. He's definitely going to play. I think that it took 2 years in the previous system, but we're not really running that. We're not really running so much veer and shoot. It's a little bit different. Tristan Keys will play. That's a big part of him coming, is he has to play. The coaches know that they have to play him. Faison might not, but Faison is going to be a true freshman quarterback. So I'm not expecting at this point for him to play, especially having sat out his entire senior season. But Tristan Keys, bro, I'll put some money on that. He's gonna play. He has a chance to even start. Think about it, man. Tennessee's got some good wide receivers, but at the same time, he's a little bit different. All right, so Tim Vols, what's going on, bro? Saying that there's no way Coach Heupel will leave Tennessee. He'll entertain the offer to leverage a raise, which he is able to do in the free market for sure. Yeah. And now I would have to disagree some. This is me personally. I'm not going to say that there's no way that he leaves. Maybe not right at this moment. Maybe not right now. But I do think that if the right opportunity comes, it's just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't feel like things are going as well here, whatever. If he's not fully happy here, then I think that he will leave. And everyone sees things differently. He might not be fully happy. I don't know if that's true or if that's false. I don't know, but I'm just saying that the possibility, like you gotta think about it. It's something that we all have to just think about because it is definitely possible. All right, so I'm trying to get to this next one here, and for some reason it doesn't like it's pulling up. But so the next one is from Dog, and Dog is saying that he heard that Heupel to LSU a while ago. Okay, so I'm wondering how long ago was that you heard it, because I just started hearing it a couple weeks ago. Because LSU had a coach just like a couple weeks ago, unless folks was already saying, look, we about to fire Brian Kelly and Heupel's our guy. But as Chris Phillips said, Lane Kiffin, I think, is most people's first option at this point. I think that Lane Kiffin, is he a better coach than Heupel? I wouldn't say so. But right now, he's just like that hot guy. It just feels like he can do a lot with not a ton of resources. Ole Miss, there's not a whole lot of resources there. I think that Lane Kiffin will probably end up leaving Ole Miss. And if he is going to leave, I don't know if LSU probably would have been the choice before whoever that was, the governor or the mayor, came out talking all that stuff and just making it real messy. But now I think he might end up going to Florida, which I really, I didn't want him to go there. But sorry, Dog. I'm sorry that yours wasn't pulling up. Let me see. Can we get the other ones to pull up? It doesn't look like we might not be able to pull them up, so I'm just going to have to read them off. All right, so Brandon Scott is saying that Tennessee's a top 20 job. LSU is a top 3 job. I think that Tennessee's a lot higher than a top 20 job. I would have to disagree with that. All right, so this next one is saying that he'd be stupid not to at least listen. It's doubtful that he'd go there, as it's mostly a lateral move, but anything is possible. Yeah, I think that it really is. Like right now, Tennessee and LSU, it kind of is a lateral move. I think like from top to bottom, yeah, it probably would be. Like I said, the only thing about LSU is just the in-state stuff, man. Like there are so many players in state. That's a huge part of it too. But I think Tennessee has more resources. All right, so Miss Terry's Bathwater is saying that he's late. Did he miss the LSU talk? Yep, so we just got through with that. Matt saying that we got to be thankful for Coach Heupel, 100%. Miss Terry's Bathwater saying that we're such a spoiled fan base. Yeah, that's a fact. Jaden is asking, do I think it's likely that GMAC could start or phase on because Michigan started a true freshman this season at quarterback and they still only got 2 losses? Well, also Michigan's schedule is a lot easier than Tennessee's is. I mean, Big Ten schedules are a freaking joke compared to the SEC. I think, everyone knows that now. I think the GMAC right now is probably the guy, but we'll see on Saturday. I mean, I'm expecting him to look really, really good. I know that he's got to gain some weight, but I expect him to look really good. And then it's tough, man. It's tough for a freshman quarterback to come into this league, a true freshman, and play well. You know what I mean? It's very tough. And I don't think the phase-on's ready. I think the phase-on has a really high ceiling, but I think that he still has a ways to go as a quarterback, especially with how our system has changed. With more pro-style stuff, it's going to be more of a learning curve. If it was just veer and shoot, I would feel more confident that phase-on could probably push GMAC to maybe be the starter. But since it's more reading, it's probably going to take him at least 1 season. But that's just how I look at it. All right, so Dog, and I'm hoping that maybe it's popping up for y'all, and I can't see it. I don't know. But so Dog is saying that he thinks that Heupel takes LSU. He's not. Oh, I don't. You could be right. I don't think that he will, though. I don't think that he would. But we shall see. We shall see. Matt SS, he's asking, why does Bull always disagree? What am I disagreeing with? I see things the way that I see it. I'm not afraid to speak up, and it's perfectly fine. We can all disagree. Y'all can see things differently, but yeah, if you're saying, why am I disagreeing with Coach Heupel leaving? I mean, just because I just think that it would be way too much. Oh, wow. So now all this stuff is starting to come up. Wow. It's crazy. Okay. So now stuff is starting to come up. All right. So Vol fan for life, he's saying if I was Heupel, I would go. So why is that? I'm curious. Just tell me why do you think that Heupel should leave? Is it just because of the fan base? Because like I said, I think that he would probably have to deal with that everywhere. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, that would be interesting, too, because if he leaves, is Tristan Keys going with him? Like, how many players from this class would be leaving with him? I think a lot of them probably would, because the kids love Coach Heupel. That's one thing I can tell y'all for a fact. They absolutely love him. Okay, so this one is saying, if Heupel does go, who could we – oh, man. Dog, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to think about that. This is the worst possible time for him to leave. I don't think that he'd do us like that. Just not right now. That's more of like a gut instinct. It's more of a how messy LSU looks right now instinct. And unless it's LSU, I think he's probably going to be staying put. But I don't know. I can't even think of a coach off the top of my head that I would want right now. Honestly, it's just so many job openings or so many coaching openings. I don't know. I definitely want an offensive-minded coach. I think that we have one of the best offensive minds in college football. You know what I mean? Which I absolutely love. There's some tweaks that we can make, but I'm not. I mean, shoot, I'm happy with it. I wouldn't want to go get like a defensive-minded coach because I know people say defense wins championships. It's not really true anymore. I mean, I guess maybe sometimes, but I hate boring offenses. Like, it's hard for me to watch the Falcons right now because our offense sucks. You know what I mean? Really tough for me to sit there and stomach that. So I'm just hoping that if it does happen, which I'm not saying that it will or it won't. I feel like it probably won't, but if it does happen, I just hope that it's another offensive-minded coach. All right, so Vols fan for life saying that he can't recruit well enough to win here. I disagree with that. I mean, I disagree with that thoroughly, bro. So, and the reason that I'm saying that is because think about what he came into. You know what I mean? He's been here for 5 years. And I know folks will say, whoa, we lost to Georgia. Well, we barely lost to Georgia. Georgia has the most talented roster in the entire country. And how many games have they just barely scraped by? With all that talent, Tennessee almost beat them. Alabama, that was a game. They're a lot more talented than Tennessee is. Really, we should have been a lot closer in that game. Oklahoma is more talented than Tennessee, not by much, but they are. But those programs have been able to go out and land players for a much longer time. You know what I mean? Like, they've been able to stack it up. They've had some good seasons. They didn't come into all the issues that Tennessee had whenever Coach Heupel got here, where, hey, you can only get so many scholarships every year. Like right now, we still have to forfeit 2 scholarships every year all the way, I think, through 2028. It was, I think, the first year we had to forfeit 12. The first year that Coach Heupel was here. And then I think we might have did 4 on the next year. But just how relevant we've been with the resources, not even resources, but like with how limited his movements could be. Like, we got to forfeit certain visit weeks and all of that. I think the Coach Heupel's doing a hell of a job. Right now, this class is ranked in the top 10. So I personally wouldn't say that. I think he's doing a very good job. Now, can we do better? Always. We can always do better, especially at safety. But I think that they're about to get that done. I think that they are really looking forward to getting that done in this offseason. We got to get some better talent there. All right, so Miss Terry's Bathwater. Gotta make a shirt that says I disagree. Yeah, man. So you know what? Maybe I will. All right, so Charles Tolston, he said that the LSU pressure cooker is way hotter than Tennessee. Yeah. And then that's something else that if you go back and listen to the full interview that we just listened to from and I forgot the guy's name again, on 104.5, they started to talk about, well, like there's more pressure at Tennessee and all that. I'm like, how do you figure that? You know what I mean? And maybe I heard it wrong. Maybe he was saying, well, the expectations at Tennessee is that we make it to the college football playoffs every year, but the expectations will be the same in LSU. Maybe he just felt like, well, it'll be easier for that to happen at LSU. I don't know if that's true. I really don't. You know what I mean? Especially with how things are going right now. So Matt saying the Heupel ain't going nowhere, boys, period. Yeah, I don't think that he's leaving anytime soon. Why do people keep hiring Lane Kiffin if they know it's likely he's gonna leave them in a couple of years? I think that people will sacrifice having a coach for a short period of time if they feel like they can win a national championship with him. Now, Lane Kiffin hasn't won a national championship as a head coach. So I guess that they just feel like, man, if he had more resources, then we could get him over the hump. It's the same thing that coaches do with players. They might have some off-the-field issues, but if they're talented enough, if you say, man, like we're seeing some flashes, there's so many glimpses, then you say, okay, well, we can take the chance because the ceiling is just so high. So I think that that's maybe that's what it is. All right. So this right here saying that Tennessee is at best a top 15 team. Okay, so who's the 14 teams? Who's the 14 programs better than Tennessee? And so some of the times whenever I'm disagreeing is just because of the takes. You know what I mean? And I'm going to push back, and I want for y'all to push back too. We could have a conversation. So let me get to this one right here from Jaden. Okay, yeah, sorry about that, bro. All right, so Miss Terry's Bathwater, everybody laughing, ball fan for life. Timmy G, what's going on, bro? He said he thinks that LSU is not a great spot right now. They have to pay Kelly a lot of money. That's true. So I'm wondering how much money do they have left over to go get somebody paid? And LSU's probably looking at what A&M did, where they had to pay out all that money to Jimbo Fisher. But you go out and get a guy, which this is crazy because I think the Coach Elko is a defensive-minded coach, but they look really good right now. But their offense, their quarterback isn't great. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But maybe they feel like, hey, we can do what Mike Elko did at A&M here at LSU. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they say, hey, we can go out and find the money, which y'all know that they got pockets. They got deep pockets. So it probably wouldn't be much for them to raise the money, to raise the funds. But yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I don't think that LSU is the best destination at this point. Go Vols, bro. Appreciate you for joining us. Matt saying go Lady Vols, by the way. They're battling right now. I'm gonna tell y'all, man. I really like Coach Caldwell. I'm watching them. I'm a little bit concerned, and not to get too far off topic, but I am a little bit concerned. I think that their style of play, I think it's too much. It doesn't feel like what's the word? It doesn't feel like they can win like a real like grinded out game. It doesn't feel like they can take their time and get their shots. It feels very rushed. Everything feels very rushed. And it could just be me. I'm just like the way that I'm seeing it. I'm not like a huge X's and O's basketball guy, but I am a little bit concerned with what I've seen in the spurts that I've watched them play so far this season. You know, I think that it could be. I think that they have a couple things that they need to work on. That's just me. All right, so Tim Vols is saying if Coach Heupel did leave, would you go after Coach Golish? I think that's a really good option. I think that Coach Golish is going to land somewhere, you know. But yeah, if it happens this year, if Coach Golish is still out there, I think that you have to look into it. My only thing with Coach Golish is that he runs like the real veer and shoot, or he runs more of the veer and shoot than what Tennessee. Like Tennessee had to get out of that because teams had figured it out. Now, is that because it's the SEC? It's higher competition, it's better resources for the coaching staff versus what Golish sees, or what? You know what I mean? But that does concern me some because I do think that if you try to run that offense, it might not work the same inside of this conference. Maybe it's the way that we're calling plays. I don't know. But, yeah, I think he would be on, like, the short list. You definitely got to interview him. But that's my only kind of, like, concern with that. Kevin Collins is saying that if we lose to Florida next week, is Heupel on the hot seat? Nah, bro. I mean, not for me personally. I don't know what the big money people think about it. They might feel that way, but we haven't won in the swamp since 2003. You know, I think that it's going to take until next year. I think that Coach Heupel does need to make some changes, some drastic changes, because next season we're gonna have to like get over the hump. Like we can't lose the same types of games. It can't look the same every year. It feels like since Coach Heupel's been here, we lose a game that we just shouldn't lose. Well, this year we lost 2. Georgia should have won that one, make a freaking field goal, and really, to me, the main one was Oklahoma. And you could maybe even point to Mississippi State. That was a little bit of a close game on the road, but we still won. I think that the Oklahoma game was just a really, really bad loss because we're so much better than Oklahoma, so much better. Well, let me keep this going. So, Dog is saying, if Heupel does leave Tennessee, where will y'all go? Yeah. So that question was asked as well. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what they're thinking. I trust Danny White to have like a short list. I think that the AD needs to have a short list of names at all times. Because if you don't, you're going to be SOL if something like that happens. All right, so this one right here is saying with all the good that Heupel has done here, he deserves until the end of his contract to get results. Yeah, I think so too. Kind of. It just really all depends. Like we can't, and maybe I'm not being patient enough because I actually, man, it's sad. It makes me sad saying this, but back when we let Fulmer go, I was like, man, like maybe we should make a change. You know, I was younger then, but I was like, you know, maybe it's time for us to make a change. But man, like we went through a long period of time where we were horrible. You know, like I think if we would have held on to Coach Fulmer, we probably would have won at least one more national championship, you know? So yeah, I mean, maybe we do hold on to him. I don't know. But I want to see some changes though. I do. I want to see things start to get better. All right. So for Miss Terry's Bathwater, saying that UT plays ads during the live show. So it shouldn't be doing that. Sorry about that. I'm not sure when that started. I don't know why that's happening. But yeah, that definitely sucks. All right, so this one right here saying that Bama, Georgia, Florida, OSU. Nah, bro. Florida State, Miami. Nah, bro. Nah, dog. Nah, dog. I don't think so, bro. I have to disagree with that thoroughly, bro. So let me actually just come back. Let me actually come back. Like I don't want to spend too much time on it, but let me just pull it back up. So Miami and Florida State, hell no, like not at all. Miami doesn't have as rabid of a fan base at all. There's a lot of talent down there. You know that is true. They've got some crazy deep pockets. That is true. But these days, really like it doesn't too much matter. And I used to live down there. Like their campus, like their weight room, like none of that stuff. It is so outdated. It is so far behind the times. It's not a better program. I don't even think that it's necessarily close. Florida State, that's not a better program either. We've seen what's going on down there, right? Like how relevant has Florida State been in however long you want to look at it? They haven't been very relevant for quite some time. Okay, Penn State, I don't know that that's a better job either. So Pennsylvania has a whole lot of talent. New Jersey has a whole lot of talent, but it's in the middle of freaking nowhere, dog. Like there's not a lot of folks that want to go up there and live in the snow. Very tough to pull players up there. You got to pull it from that area. They've got some good players. It ain't nothing like the South. It ain't nothing like being a border state with Georgia, and Alabama and South Carolina and North Carolina and everything else. It's nothing like that. LSU, we talked about it. I think that you could make the argument maybe either way for who's better there. But we've already, like with the teams that you just named off, I mean, or with the teams that I just went through, they are not better than, it's not a better job than Tennessee. Texas, you can make the argument there, yeah, for sure. Especially with Texas, being in the state of Texas, they got some great resources. You know what I mean? So I could see that argument. Oklahoma, I think that Oklahoma is about on the same level as Tennessee. You could make that argument either way as well. So let me keep it going. Yeah, I think that it would be hard to. Has he ever had a top 10 class? Well, he has one right now. Heupel does have a top 10 class right at this moment. They're ranked number 8 on 3 and with 24/7 on 3 and Rivals and 24/7 Sports. Okay, so let me get to this one right here from Go Big Orange Cow Beach, saying the Coach Hype isn't going anywhere. Him and Danny are really close. LSU just hired a new AD, and if you don't win 10 games a year, you'll get fired. Why would you want to? Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy high standard. If you don't win 10 games a year, then you're fired. I would not want to go do that. All right, so Jaden, yeah, I think so too. And that's an excellent point, because if you think about all the stuff that we talked about just like a little bit earlier, with what we came into, but with the way that we were able to play and the way that we were able to get to relevance so quickly, obviously, man, they do a great job of finding the good talent, of finding players who can fit into their system. And I think that they were doing a great job of maximizing that talent. This year, you could say the same thing in some spurts. We just can't lay an egg in certain games. All right, so Gilead saying, ain't no way Heupel going to LSU. Love that. I'm gonna try to skip past the ones where y'all going back and forth. If you're saying that he's never had a top 10 class, okay, that shows how good of a coach he is. And that's true as well. Man, yeah, some of this stuff in here is funny. We still need a safety. That's coming from Kevin Collins. If you're talking about for next year's class or for next year period, man, we got a few good looking safeties. So the kid that's teammates with Rouse down here at Kill, bro, he's like 6'2", 200. I think that he could come in and he could play safety immediately. Like immediately. He looks really, really, really good. There's we got so many more safeties coming in. I know that we're going to be hitting the portal. We're definitely going to spend, I think, a lot more money there. I think that we'll probably end up getting like the best safety that money can buy. So safety it will look better. And this is one of my things too. Whenever you're talking about our defense, and look, I'm not trying to take a shot at anybody, but Coach Banks hasn't had like elite safety since he's been here. Folks will blame it on him. I think that it might be more on Heupel. I just don't think that he's had enough funds to be able to go and get those guys, honestly. you know? So it's for me, it's like, bro, you can't have a good defense without having good safeties, you know, or like you definitely can't have like an elite defense without having pretty much, I would say, really good safety play. Now, we did it last season, and we had a walk-on playing at safety, and we had Andre Turrentine. Andre Turrentine, well, I mean, he hasn't looked too good this season, but I think that does kind of speak to maybe we can do a little bit more with less, but I'm curious to see how much better the defense can get whenever we've got some really good talent everywhere. I think that it might look totally different. I think it's going to be very, very positive for us. All right, so this right here saying that Vol fans want us to be like Georgia and Alabama, forgetting where we came from. It looks like you might have more to that, so I'll come back to it once I see it. But yeah, I mean, you know, it takes time, bro. Like they spent all that time. I mean, Georgia has been building talented rosters for decades. You know, decades. Alabama has too. So they just like it's going to take some time to be able to catch up from that standpoint. But I think that we've expedited that process. NIL transfer portal helps with that as well. So Jaden is saying that right now we're ranked. Yep, we're ranked 8. And look, we're not done yet. You know what I'm saying? Like we are not done yet, and I think that it's possible that we might still be able to maybe get up to the top 5. But I think that we will move up some in the rankings. All right, so Tony's saying that Heupel is a good coach, but he's terrible at clock management. And look, I don't disagree with that. I agree with that fully. I think that he is pretty bad with his clock management, especially like the 2-minute stuff. I almost feel like it needs to go to like a coaching clinic, and it's so tough because they don't get enough downtime. But he's gonna have to really study that, or just find somebody else that can just be the like clock management person. You know, which it's tough because you're gonna take up more time. Because whoever the clock management person is would have to get the message to Coach Heupel, then he's got to call the play. Might not be the best situation, but he does have to take several steps forward from that standpoint for sure. Okay. Man, we've got a whole lot of chats coming in. We got a whole lot, but I did want to kind of like switch gears, y'all, real quick and take a look at the basketball team. So just bear with me, but I did want to just kind of like go through, give my thoughts on our players. And I would love to get y'all's as well. But number one, with Nate averaging 20 points per game through it's been 3 games now, right? It's been 2 or has it been 3? Something like that. Of course, it's not been versus very good competition. I love what I see from him. He has great height, great length. He's starting to pick his defense up more. He's actually leading the team in steals per game with 1.3, which you'll love to see that. He's actually tied with rebounds at 8.7 with JP, who I think is balling. But he has so many good things. He's finding his shot, I think, as far as like getting to the basket and finding his shot a lot better. You know, he's not always hitting them yet. He's going to have to get bigger. He's going to have to get stronger. He's going to have to get his jump shot going just a little bit better. I want him to be better from the free throw line. But, I mean, just like the ceiling, his talent level is crazy. And this is such a deep team. Let me say that. Man, we got so many guys on this team that are just that can just flat out ball. You know what I mean? Like, we have so many guards, so many big men. I'm just, like, pleasantly surprised with how this team is looking at this point. And it's crazy that we were able to get as close as we did in previous years with Coach Barnes when we weren't nearly this deep. So once they start to gel, I think the Tennessee is going to be in an excellent spot. But like I said, man, JP, I mean, averaging 17 points per game, pretty much coming off of the bench. Y'all can see his minutes right here. Dude, I love what he's doing. Like, I love what he's doing. He looks great. I mean, he's hitting threes. He looks like he could be like a stretch 4. I feel like we got to find a way to, I don't know if he can maybe get into the starting lineup, but he's pretty much, maybe he's the only guy that can really play center for us coming off of the bench. I really like that freshman too, Brown. He's shorter, but he could play at center too. But man, like JP, you can tell that he's put in a whole lot of work. I mean, he's gotten bigger. His footwork's good. I mean, just like explosive, playing with like a high level of confidence. I'm super proud of him. Kobe G, man. I think he's doing some good things. You know, he's definitely more of like a score first kind of a point guard. But what is he doing from 3 right now? He's at 38%, which is pretty good. I think last season he might have been like in the 40s or whatever. I need for him to get up to that. So if he can hit his threes a little bit more consistently with the way that he can get to the basket, and it's probably already good as far as his 3 points right now, we should have some wide open lanes. Like, we should be able to really space that floor out. I think he does some okay things on defense. His defense is going to have to step up. I can tell you that for sure. Cade Phillips, I love what I'm seeing from him. I don't know that he's a 3. I know that they want him playing there. I don't know that really suits him very well. I don't feel like he's that good of a jump shooter. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he's explosive. He plays hard, plays really good defense, so on and so forth. Bishop Boswell, who didn't play last game, I think he might have had like a foot deal or something. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I actually like him playing at the 2. I know folks are talking about, man, he's not a good scorer. I think that his defense, number one, like you're going to need that because like we need a guard out there that has better defense than what Kobe G has shown so far. Now, Kobe G's defense isn't terrible, but you need somebody who can lock down. And I definitely think that will be Bishop Boswell, and he can score. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's got more confidence this season scoring than he did last year, but it almost feels like his teammates don't always have as much confidence in him because they don't pass him the basketball as much. But I think that if he can find a way to score just like a little bit more frequently, then that really helps Tennessee out because you need that guy. Kind of like, Meshack down the home stretch last season. He started to hit his open looks. That was really, really big for us, but you need a guy that can play the defense in this system for sure. Because I'm going to tell y'all, I'm not a huge fan of Rick Barnes' offense. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think that it has a tendency to get very stagnant a little bit too often for me. But, I mean, Rick Barnes knows way more about basketball than I do, so I'm not trying to undermine him. I'm just saying that sometimes the defense turns into offense, and I think that having guys out there like Bishop Boswell could help us to score some points whenever the offense isn't going. All right, so Jalen Carey, who I think he's just trying to find his groove right now. He's trying to figure out how does he fit in. Really everybody right now, just trying to figure out where they fit in at. But I think that he's going to be perfectly fine. Is he going to – he didn't start last game, but is he going to start moving forward? I don't know. We're still trying to get the lineups and all that figured out, but he's going to be a huge part of what we do down the home stretch. The deeper that we go, the more that he's going to mean a lot to this team. But I just need for him to play back, to get back to the confidence and play with the attitude that he did last season at Vandy. And, man, Brown, yeah, I'm very impressed with him. Really good footwork for a big guy, for a freshman. He's got a lot of dog in him. He can score. Just does a lot of very positive things. Felix, we already know he's mostly defense. Can he find more scoring prowess? If he could get more consistent with some sort of a jump hook or something, I mean, dog, find something that works. Like we need people in our starting lineup to have something that's their go-to and that they're just good at. If everyone just has like one superpower, I think that we should be fine. If we can all find that, like midway through the season, I think Tennessee's going to be in a great spot. I really love Henderson. I love Berg, two guards that play with a whole lot of effort. Henderson's defense looks pretty solid to me. He's a guy that I think could come in and maybe spell Bishop Boswell as far as guarding some of the, or matching up versus some of the better guards. Obviously, those guys can shoot. We got to be like less careless with the basketball. Let me also say that we're way too careless with the damn basketball. But I think part of that is people not knowing how they fit into the team. I'm hoping that gets fixed expeditiously because that's huge. Abram he's another one, really good, plays tough. We just, man, we're so freaking deep at guard. I love it. We deep in so many spots. But yeah, he's been doing really, really well. I'm not sure about the kid I think he's from France. I've seen him play some, but I need to see him play some more because I don't really, he looks like he's got good length and all of that, but I just need to see more from him. And then Evans, he has really good size for a freshman. So I just want to kind of get those thoughts out there because we don't talk a whole lot about basketball, but in the next couple of weeks, we will definitely be getting into basketball season more, especially with Tennessee pretty much being out of the college football playoffs. So let me get back into these chats and let's see what people are talking about. I see that there are a lot. It's probably way too many for me to be able to get into. I'm going to have to skip a whole lot of these because I see that y'all going back and forth. Let me see where we at. Okay, so it looks like folks are watching the Lady Vols. Let me know how they're looking because, as I said earlier, I'm a little bit concerned with the way that they play. Yeah. Okay. So Matt's saying the same thing. Okay. So I know that's way up in the chat. I'm gonna skip down and sorry I have to skip past so many of these, but I do just want for them, and I understand what Coach Caldwell's doing. But it just, maybe they're just not running things right because to me, it just looks like way too much chaos. It looks like we leave too many people wide open. It looks like we don't have as much of a post presence as we should. It just feels like we're trying to catch people off guard. It reminds me in some ways of Coach Heupel's system whenever he first got here. But it seemed to have worked better for the football team, you know what I'm saying, where we were catching people off guard. But I think that she's going to have to make some tweaks. That's just me. And if y'all know more about basketball, please chime in because I would love to get y'all's thoughts. All right, so this one's saying that that's exactly what we need, a roaming, hard-hitting safety, 1,000%. We definitely need that. Okay, so I see that y'all doing a lot of going back and forth. Okay, well, wait a second. What did what did Cal say? Okay, so Cal must be going off. I'm gonna have to go back and check out what you said. But Cal must be preaching inside of the chat. It's hard to recruit at Tennessee. Maybe, but not as difficult as it was 5 years ago. I don't know that it's hard. I wouldn't say that it's hard either. It's not. I don't think it's easy as maybe it is in some places. But I think that we're about to shock some folks, man. Like I think that coming out of this, I mean, obviously with the 2026 class, it's looking really good. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna lose a player here and there. I'm not too concerned about losing a guy that was going to be more like a gadget piece. You know what I'm saying? Was going to be more of like a guy that we would have to figure out how are we going to use him versus what we held on to. Because all that we've done since we had added Legend Bay is go out and add better wide receivers. And I'm definitely not taking a shot at Legend Bay because I think he's a really good player. I think he's a really good talent. I'm just saying that like for Tennessee that it's not that big of a deal. But as far as front seven, I mean, we're doing a tremendous job there. But think about this transfer portal window. I have a feeling that in this portal, Tennessee's going to come out smelling like roses, baby. So, excuse me, Miss Terry's Bathwater saying, I wish that I could get into basketball. It just doesn't interest me. And look, I totally understand that. I'm kind of like, growing up, I mean, I guess I've always liked basketball, but football is my love. But anything Tennessee I can get into, I would say just take the time and like watch the games, and once you get to know the players, which like I said, we'll be covering the basketball team a lot more on this channel. So if you're tuning in, hopefully we can help you to get more into it. But once you start to like learn the players and like you're watching them play, you're watching them grow, you're watching them ball. To me, it does get it starts to get fun. You know what I mean? But I totally get you. It's nothing's like football. Okay, so this one from Kyle, he's saying that if Nate, Kobe, and JP keep going like they are, our defense gets better, we're going to be hard to deal with. Yeah, and I'm on the same page with you. Like I think that Kobe is doing a good job of scoring, no question. So I hope I didn't come off like I didn't think he was doing a good job. I just want for him to, and it's not really his game, but I want for him to be able to find people better and find people more. And I think that that's just going to come with time. It's just, 3 or 4 games into the year if you count the scrimmage versus Duke. It's going to take them some time. But once they get there, we are going to be, I think, really freaking good. Really, really, really freaking. I mean, I think that we're already good. But we'll see how we look versus, I think, Rutgers or Rice. I don't know how good Rice is, but for sure Rutgers is going to be one of our first big tests, and we'll see how we look. Yeah, I mean, I would say so for sure. I mean, Tennessee is in an excellent spot. Pretty much everywhere in the South is an excellent spot. JP does bring a ton of energy. So Abram also looked better last night. Yeah. I thought that he looked good. It might have been in the game versus Duke. I was like, who the hell? Like, he's flashing. So you just want to be able to see the flashes and see him build off of it. But yeah, he can. And once we get to the tournament, it's all about guard play, right? At least historically, that's what it's been like. But I think that because we are so deep, man, we've got the answers. We can, just like several different lineups. I think that we can mix and match. Yeah, man. I mean, and I think that that's kind of what it's going towards, not just for basketball's been this way, but for football too, where you got to go out and get guys that can help you as freshmen. And then you'll probably start to build more from the portal, especially SEC teams. I think that you have to. But I mean, Coach Barnes, the whole staff did a hell of a job of identifying talent. And I think that they've got these guys pretty much ready. Still got a little bit of a ways to go. But I definitely think that we can get there. So this one from Matt SS is saying that, okay, so we over Belmont. So we're winning 47-46 over Belmont. Wow. Yeah, see, I don't know, man. Something does seem off to me. I did notice that. But hopefully they can get it figured out. But yeah, and I don't think Belmont's, they're probably not that good. The game shouldn't be as close as it is. We got to get that figured out. But y'all, that's going to do it, man. We've been running for about like an hour. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you. Last thing that we can do real quick. Let me jump into this. Let's take a look at some of the games for this weekend. Okay, I'm not going to be picking any scores, but we'll just go through real quick. So Clemson versus Louisville. Obviously, if Clemson wins, that helps us out. Every team that only has 2 losses, if we want to make it to the college football playoffs, which I know, long shot, but we need for them to lose. Okay, man, it'd be huge if Minnesota could somehow beat Oregon, and then Oregon lose one more. That would be gigantic. This one doesn't really matter because Indiana's in. They probably already clinched. This one doesn't really matter either. Notre Dame. Oh man, Notre Dame or Pitt. I guess it would help us out more if. I guess either one, but yeah, it would probably help us out more if Notre Dame loses because they want to get them in. I think that the best way for the SEC to get in 5 teams is if Notre Dame doesn't make it. I think that's the only way. And I think that they would have to lose like 4 games. I think that's the only way that we can get in 5 teams because they'll put somebody in from one of these other conferences, somebody else, so the SEC doesn't get in 5. We'd love to see Michigan lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and put them out because if they lose this week, they'll probably lose to the Buckeyes too, and that just puts them out. So that's pretty much Cincinnati losing. That would be helpful. I think that with this one, I can go ahead and tell y'all right now how I'm feeling. I feel like Alabama's going to win. I think that they're going to win pretty big too. I just think that Oklahoma's not a very good football team, in all honesty. So yeah, I guess it would be good if Oklahoma loses out, but like we said, you got to be careful watching Coach Heupel. Texas Tech would be great if they could lose. Miami, we need for them to lose. And I hate being in this spot. If you need this many damn teams to lose, you don't really deserve. To me, you don't really deserve to get into the college football playoffs. Georgia Tech, I usually kind of cheer for Georgia Tech unless it hurts Tennessee. But it would be good if they lost. I've seen in some of the like bowl things where they say Tennessee's going to be playing our bowl game at. They're talking about us playing versus Iowa. I don't want to play Iowa. I don't care. I don't care where the game's at. I do not want to play Iowa, period. That is a boring freaking game. They need to get their stuff together. But I do want for them to beat USC because that helps Tennessee. Virginia needs to go on ahead and lose. Of course, our Vols need to do our need to do our thug thizzle. Florida, it'd be great if they could beat Ole Miss because that helps us out in 2 different ways because Ole Miss loses and then Florida strength of schedule looks a little bit better. Utah losing would be great. I would actually I know that y'all don't want Nico to win this game, but I would love to see that happen. And then I'm never going for Georgia. I don't give a damn what it does. I don't care how it helps Tennessee. I hope Texas wins that game. I hope that they win it big. I don't care if that puts us out, which it might not, because if Tennessee goes 9-3 and then Texas goes, well, I guess that they could lose 4 games. Then I feel like we should be over them. I know that I said that the other way around the other day, but I was wrong on that. All right, so and then it'd be great, of course, if BYU could lose as well. All right, so I just want to go through that real quick and let me check back in and see what people are saying real quick. Let me check back in. Okay, all right, so Belmont is actually good. Okay, so they took number 6 Oklahoma, tied into late. Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit better about that situation. For sure. I didn't think that Belmont would be good because it's such a small school, but that makes me feel a lot better. John, what's going on, bro? Saying that Heupel is still dealing with scholarship forfeited. He's still dealing with forfeited scholarships. Heupel is a very good coach. He has some in-game issues. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's still kind of growing from that standpoint. Chad is saying that Kim needs to bench Spearman for. Wow, yeah. I would have to watch it. So let me see. That's also saying that he seriously doubts Vols going to win out. Even if we do, we'll get a crappy bowl game. Well, I think that if we win out, then we'll get a good bowl game for sure. I think we'll get a very good bowl game. But, and I would also say, again, that I disagree that we're going to, that I think that we will end up winning out, honestly. And we've been putting out some film for our members on YouTube and on Patreon of Florida, of Vanderbilt. Like we just put one out today of Vanderbilt's offense. I mean, bro, I don't care what their record is. That's an offense that we shouldn't really struggle to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just honestly shouldn't. But that's going to do it, though, y'all. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for rocking with us. But we do have to skate, so we'll be talking to y'all tomorrow. Hope that you have a great rest of y'all's night. And y'all also please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll probably be talking to y'all tomorrow. All right. Thanks. Peace.